movie stars, rock stars. I don't think anybody was bigger than Johnny because he was on.
Johnny Carson wasn't just the face of late-night television, he was the gold standard. For 3 decades, he kept America laughing with perfect timing, razor-sharp wit, and a calm so polished it seemed unbreakable. But behind that cool smile, a quiet list, a mental roll call of guests who pushed him too far. Some brought chaos, others brought ego, and a few simply didn't play by his rules. What does it take to shake a man like that? A king who turned tension into comedy and could silence a room with just a smirk. Apparently, quite a bit. But as we dig into the names on this list, you'll see that even Carson had his limits. These were not your average feuds. These were slow-burning rivalries, unspoken tensions, and moments that made his pencil shake behind the desk. Frank Sinatra didn't just walk into The Tonight Show, he descended like royalty. His team would sweep into NBC ahead of him, changing temperatures, adjusting lights, and claiming front row seats for his entourage. Security marked his arrival in bold letters. And Johnny Carson, who valued control and precision, braced himself. Every time, he respected Sinatra's star power. Sure, but hosting wasn't just about status. One night in 1976, Carson was deep into his monologue when Sinatra strolled on stage unannounced, arm around Johnny's shoulder. The crowd erupted, 40 seconds of thunderous applause. Carson forced a smile and joked, "Do you need the whole show, Frank?" Sinatra shot back, "Only till the band packs up." It was iconic, but to Johnny, it was war. The monologue was sacred ground, and Frank had bulldozed through it. Behind the scenes, Carson poured himself an extra scotch and muttered under his breath about the chairman of the board. Johnny Carson was the master of smooth. He could turn any interview into magic-like teasing, smart comebacks, just the right mix of charm and control. But Chevy Chase? He brought none of that. Known for his sharp sarcasm and deadpan delivery, Chase didn't vibe with Carson's rhythm. His jokes landed like jabs, not laughs. The audience felt it. Johnny felt it. What should have been banter turned cold and awkward. It wasn't just the tone, it was the threat. Chase was rising fast, a breakout star from Saturday Night Live, and rumors swirled that he might be next in line for late night. Carson, who had spent years building The Tonight Show into a cultural institution, didn't appreciate anyone treating it like a stepping stone. Behind the scenes, producers whispered that Johnny saw Chase as more than just annoying. He saw him as a rival. Their interviews lacked warmth, their off-camera chemistry was non-existent, and the air between them grew thicker with every visit. Chevy may have thought he was too cool to care. Fred Rogers seemed like the safest guest you could book. No scandals, no ego, just kindness in a cardigan. But the moment he stepped onto Carson's stage, everything changed. He didn't rush, he didn't play to the cameras. He simply walked out, paused, and said, "Thank you very much, friends. I'm very glad to be here." The audience clapped, then hesitated. Something felt ... different. Carson, always quick. With a comeback, even wore sneakers as a joke tribute. Rogers smiled and replied, "That's very thoughtful, Johnny." Behind the scenes, chaos? The timing was off, cue cards were abandoned, and the laughs were nearly non-existent. Carson tried, too pivot-tasking for funny stories, expecting something light. But Rogers spoke slowly about children's fears, imagination, and empathy. It was sweet, but also like slamming the brakes on a speeding car. Carson nodded politely, but under his suit, the sweat told a different story. Ratings dipped, producers panicked, and yet the mailroom flooded the next day with letters thanking the show for that quiet moment. Still, the damage was done. Joan Rivers wasn't just another guest, she was Johnny Carson's chosen one. He brought her onto The Tonight Show nearly 100 times, made her a regular fill-in host, and championed her sharp wit and fearless style. Behind the scenes, she called him boss, sent handwritten thank you notes, and treated him like a mentor. Carson rarely trusted anyone with his stage, but with Joan, it was different. Until it wasn't. In 1986, Rivers accepted a deal to host her own late-night show on the new Fox network without telling Johnny first. He found out the same way the rest of America did, watching the evening news. To Carson, it wasn't just a business move, it was a personal betrayal. When Rivers tried to call him that night, he refused to answer. And from that moment forward, she was blacklisted. Her name disappeared from the guest list, her legacy erased from his stage. Not even Jay Leno dared to book her during his run. Years later, when her show crashed, when her husband took his own life, Carson still stayed silent. No call, no comfort, nothing. The band lasted nearly 3 decades, only ending in 2014 when Jimmy Fallon finally welcomed her back. Johnny Carson made late night look effortless, effortless charm, effortless laughs, effortless control, but the truth behind the curtain was far more complicated. He wasn't just a comedian, he was a conductor, keeping the tempo of every show in perfect sync. And when that rhythm broke, whether by an overpowering guest, a surprise betrayal, or just a beat too slow, you could see it. In the grip of his pencil, the speed of his sips, the pause before a smile. From Sinatra's stage-stealing entrances to Joan Rivers' painful goodbye, Carson endured it all with a kind of grace only a seasoned showman could master. But behind that grace was exhaustion, a quiet war between loyalty and legacy, rhythm and disruption. And yet, he always came back, always smiled, always delivered. So the next time you watch those old clips, pay attention to the silences, the glances, the moments. That's where the real Johnny Carson lived.